because what you're told may be exactly the right thing to do, but if you stop thinking, you'll never know. So it's start thinking and then probably do what you're told if it makes sense. But if what you're being told to do actually isn't based on science, or it's based on flawed science, you have a fundamental human right to say, I am not going to do that.
All right, so got a big question. I know you're a futurist. That's part of your wiring. So I like to fast forward 20 years from now and do your best to imagine what biooptimization, biohacking, and your life's going to be like. Because I know we're all aiming to live well into our 150, 200 year zone. Love to hear what you think life's going to be like in 20 years in terms of supplements, technology, genetic engineering. I mean, I know you're on the bleeding edge of all kinds of things. So let's fast forward to the future.
Well, we're at an inflection point for what the future looks like, and it's one of two possibilities. And it may depend on what country you live in. So one possibility here is that all of this amazing biohacking data and health data gets owned by either companies who use it against you. They'll give you the final report, but they'll use it and they'll change your insurance. They'll change your taxes even based on your biological data. And then the other one is the government owns all the data and pretty much does the same thing. And the direction it's going in the US is it's private companies who have all of your data. And in some other countries that are more authoritarian, what you end up with is, this is government property, and if you don't have the behaviors that you want or that we want, essentially we lock you out. In the US, it'll just be, we charge you so much you can't do anything, and in other countries it'll be like that. So what's happening in the next 20 years is, are we going to decide that control of your own biology is a fundamental human right? One that supersedes even the Constitution of the US, something that is, war crime level things where, thou shalt not cross anywhere on the planet. Even if we do that, though, there are lots of war crimes that are perpetrated today around the planet where people may get punished 10, 20 years from now, but we still have people who spend a lot of time in that first F word. So I think it's a time where you pay attention to all the data you're getting and you say, is this my data? And you insist that it's your data and that you have sovereignty over that and you control it. And that gives you medical freedom. It also means that if you want to say, something isn't working, I choose to be abnormal, then you are allowed to do that. Because guess what? The people who get an A in school they're abnormal. The people who are normal, they get a C, because that's what average looks like. And we are at a place where we could take all of this amazing biological data and we could use it to stamp out anyone who performs above the average. Go, that's not normal. Here, let's just tweak a setting there. There you go. Now you're average. And there's a word for a world like that. It's called hell. So I don't want us to go down that path. What I want us to be able to do, and the reason that have created this biohacking thing, is that what hackers have done since the beginning of hacking is they've said, we've got this, let's create the alternative. So you look at something like Linux, the operating system. For years, it was Microsoft has the only operating system in town and something called Unix, but you could never see what it did because it was all hidden. And then one guy stands up and says, I'm just going to make my own operating system. Hey, does anyone want to help? Right? And now there's a movement, there's a community of people who now allow you to look under the hood. So I am going to say that over the next 20 years, we're going to see more and more people not realizing how much of their data is being gathered, but they're also going to say, I have a right to see my data and to use it as I choose. And that'll be interesting. And let's look at what it looks like as a biohacker. We're already getting there. The new health intelligence test from Viome is an example. With this test, they're looking at the RNA, the functional genomics coming off of your mitochondria, as well as off what's in your gut bacteria. And they're running it through advanced AI algorithms. And these algorithms have already discovered 10,000 new species that live in the human gut that have been added to our database of knowledge. That's kind of legit science for one company. In fact, it's amazing. But the new health intelligence test will tell you, where are my mitochondria failing? what's working, what's not working. And then they tell you customized food plans that go beyond just what's in your gut. It's like what's in your gut plus what's going on in your cells right now. That is only going to get stronger and stronger. And the companies that have the biggest data set will be able to offer you the most knowledge. The plan with 40 years is in there is, hey, when it comes to altered high performance states, we have a very big database and we're growing more of that so that when you come in, we can say, all right, let's do the opposite of average for you. Let's put you standards of deviation above average for your superpowers. And again, you have to be able to compare it sometimes in real time, but against very huge amounts of data. And where we're going to end up with is, you know what works for you. And we're going to disprove some major, major beliefs that are out there around nutrition, around lifestyle, and the things where the pundits have always said, oh, exercise more. It doesn't work. Like, exercise is good for you if you need exercise. And the number of people, and you guys have, and some of the guys like this, oh, I'm going to be a CEO. I fly around the world every month, on my jet. Oh, and I'm going to run an Ironman triathlon. Oh, and I have a bad marriage. And you're like, let me just check this out. You have a little bit of a little belly forming there and you can't get it up in the morning, right? And like, how did you know? Well, it's because you're overtraining. Like, you needed to take a nap. You didn't need to lift something heavy today. You didn't need to go, crank out another 20 miles, right? So the mantra, the belief system just doesn't match the data. And the data is going to be increasingly free and increasingly effortless to get. So you can just say, what I'm doing doesn't work. And we'll lose this shame over, oh, what I'm doing didn't work. It's because it's just hardware. It's not about, oh, it's a moral failing. And if you just felt like you couldn't put the donut down, fine. It's one of two things. You have a biological problem where your cells are literally starving, and then you got to find out why. Or you have an emotional issue, right? And you got to find out why. And we're making great progress on the emotional side of that at 40 years of Zen. And on the biological side of that stuff, I think that health intelligence test is going to work. You can try the bulletproof diet. You can say, you know what? Given just the powers of basic deduction with no tests at all, I think I have a problem with fat metabolism. Let me try a supplement that's going to help me with that. Or I think I have a gut bacteria problem. Let me try P3OM and just push out whatever bad stuff's in the gut. Stuff like that is reasonable to do right now, but in the future, it may be as simple as, you flush your toilet and it says you should take a P3OM. Like, we don't know what you did last night, but it wasn't good. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that world. That's the world we want to live in, where everything is wired to make you perform at your best when you want to, and you get to decide what's important to you. That's the world that I'm working to create. What I'm a little bit worried about is, right now, the webcams that are looking at you, and in my case, it's not really a webcam, it's a higher end camera. If you run the right algorithms on them, or even something like an Xbox camera, they can look and see your heart rate from what's happening inside your retina. Very micro pulsations from your skin. A high quality microphone can pull this out. And so there's all kinds of signals coming off your bodies right now that you're entirely unaware of, that you can gather using AI and image recognition. Now, that's super cool, because already walking down the street, if you give me the right compute power and the right cameras, I can pick out which people have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's about to happen. People can pick out which people are on drugs. Right? There's all kinds of data just in how you move. Well, this data is all getting liberated and unlocked, and it's an amazing thing, but it means we're going to have to face things like stigmas. Right? Oh, is this person on drugs? There's probably a reason. It's either trauma or it's biological. They're self-treating, something wrong with their brain. It's always one of those two. So we can just stop judging people and assuming we have so much control over ourselves when we don't. Our environment controls us. We just build an environment that makes people awesome. Are we going to go there? I don't really know. I'm always optimistic. I'm always hopeful for the future, and I see the path. I also see people just who are so triggered in fear that they stop thinking. And that is not how to be a successful human being. You've got to be able to say, oh, look, there's something scary. I'm going to choose what to do. But if instead you say, I'm going to stop thinking and do what I'm told, that's not a good choice either, because what you're told may be exactly the right thing to do. But if you stop thinking, you'll never know. So it's start thinking and then probably do what you're told if it makes sense. But if what you're being told to do actually isn't based on science, or it's based on flawed science, you have a fundamental human right to say, I am not going to do that, whatever it is. And I'm not talking specifically about anything, and you're all going, what's he talking about here? It doesn't matter. So I'm not taking a stance against or for whatever the hell you think I just said. All I'm saying is that every single thing you decide that you put on your plate, everything you bring in through the door of your house, everything that you do at the doctor's office, everything you do at the gym, everything you do at the massage parlor, you're getting a massage because you have lymphatic drainage problems, all of those are part of what I'm talking about.